on the night. Now you're going to practice your body language and your voice, how you stand before you actually stand up and do your presentation. Body language. I have a little acronym here called MORE, because English people, and I think we're mostly English people here, most of us stand when we're doing a presentation. Oh, the audience is still there. We don't really like moving about. We don't like expansive body language. And more serves to emphasise that most of the time, if you're standing in front of a particularly larger audience, is you need to use more body language. It's got to be meaningful. There's no point in talking about one major point and holding 5 fingers up, because that will confuse people. It's no good talking about the tiny problem, or even the big problem, because that will confuse people. It needs to be open. Audiences respond best when body language and people are open. And that's open arms, that's open face, that's a smile. Relaxed. Now this is a tough one for people who are a bit nervous about public speaking, which is why I say do try and relax before you stand up here. Now, one of the things about relaxation when you're speaking, or lack of it, is that people can look on the face of it quite relaxed, but they might have a little nervous tick. I think anyone who's seen a presentation with people with keys in their pockets, now I don't have pockets for precisely that reason, because then I can't stuff them full of stuff and start fiddling with it. Pens, yes, don't hold a pen if you think you're going to fiddle with it. Some of us don't. The other one is notes. We've probably all seen people with notes and you read them and it's quite distracting, but it's kind of real not useful. If you need to use notes, one of the tricks that some of my colleagues use, I tend not to use notes, is to make them small. Hold them in one hand so they aren't distracting. If you can, use very small cards so that you can hold like this in your hand. Because don't read from them, but if you've practiced and you've planned properly, then you will have a few keywords on your cards that then aren't going to distract or take away from some of the open body language. Expressive. I mentioned a smile, and trust me, with any business presentation, with the possible exception of reading a eulogy or that kind of speech, a smile will immediately start to resonate with your audience. It's worth allowing some of your emotions, some of your feelings to come forward as you speak, so that you're expressing yourself. Now I'll mention eye contact here, because this is something else that nervous speakers struggle with. One of the best ways of making eye contact with your audience, first of all, if you're feeling nervous, is just look at the people in the audience who are smiling. Because those are the people who are already in rapport with you. Those are the people who are already positive about the message that you're trying to get across. When you become less nervous, then it's worth actually spending a little time actually making eye contact, if you can, with as many people in the audience as possible. Don't make it too long, because that can be a little bit threatening, but don't make it too fleeting. Don't sort of... It's pretty weird, isn't it? One problem a lot of nervous speakers have is they speak to the ceiling. I don't know if you've ever seen that. I don't know how you feel as an audience when I do that, but I know when I'm in the audience and people do that, I want to stand up and go, "Whee! Look at me! I'm in the audience, I'm listening!" Because it feels like the speaker isn't speaking to you. But mainly, if you find yourself nervous about body language, just keep your hands away from here or here, especially if you're a bloke. You'd be surprised. I'll show you some of the things that I've seen people do. And once you start watching out for it, you'll notice people doing it when they present, but do watch out for doing it yourself. This is quite a common one. I'm clutching my hands because I don't know what to do with them. If this happens to you, just put your hands down to your side and relax your shoulders. If necessary, just bend one knee slightly so that you do feel a little bit more relaxed. Another one is this one. You don't, bless you, you're my children. I'm praying that this is all going to be over very soon. But a lot of people do it. We've got other people who do this. I don't know why. And we've got, of course, we've got the people who just get nervous, and we've got the other people are the marchers up and down. You've probably seen them, yeah. You know, just because I can't find a way out. Oh, it's there. I'm going now. But it is a good idea to use all the space you have when you're speaking, and move around a lot, because moving around just a little bit, but if you find yourself pacing, do stop. But if you move around, it helps to release some of that nervous tension that you may be feeling. It also adds interest to what you're saying. Think about body language. Some of you, if you've ever been to a presentation on speaking or presentation skills before, will know that the main thing that the audience remembers about a speech or a presentation is what they see. Yep. Anyone come across that statement before? Yep. So it is very important that you actually get the body language right. I'm going to talk about the other aspect of visuals, which is props, like a PowerPoint, because they are equally important. Voice. One of the things about the voice is that it is the mechanism by which largely you express the words and the meaning of what you're trying to get across, the message. 3 elements for getting this bit right. Variety, which is speaking soft or speaking loud. One very effective way of getting an important point across when you're speaking is to walk towards the audience and speak softly. Because what tends to happen is that people, as you are, lean forward because you think, this must be something that's important to me. If you want to talk to a large audience, it's important to be able to project your voice well. But it is important that you vary it. That's one of the critical things, because that's what makes what you're saying interesting. Now, you may have heard talks where everyone talks at a monotone, doesn't vary the tone at all, and I imagine that you're probably already turning off from what I'm saying, because it is really rather boring. Pace. That's the speed with which you speak. In the same way that varying the volume adds interest, varying the pace also adds interest. So when you're excited about something, you might want to talk more quickly, because that tends to express that this is something that you feel emotionally connected to. If you want to emphasise something, it might be that you talk more slowly. But when you're planning your speech or your presentation, think about what kind of variety you can add to actually make that presentation more interesting. Practice it. Pauses. Funny thing about pauses, when you're standing in front of an audience, a pause feels between 3 and 4 times as long as it does to the audience. And it's one of the hardest things that people have to deal with. Pauses and emphasis. They're like the vocal punctuation. They enable people, the audience, to catch up and remember what you've said. Especially important if you want to make a point, a critical point perhaps of your message. It could be, if you're doing a sales presentation, that this only costs £50. As the audience, you've got time to write down £50 and go, wow, to yourself. And you have to give the audience that time. Especially if you're doing a speech to inform, if you're giving people a lot of information, pausing can be a very good way of giving the opportunity to the audience to catch up, because not everybody will be taking in the information at the same speed. I guess this is something you're probably more used to than I am, Alan. Do try this out.